Hello and welcome everybody. Welcome to Sectors Made Simple and Step 10 of Step into Sectors. Today is the final part of this series, and it has been a pleasure to get to show you how Sectors Made Simple helps you to invest simpler every step of the way. Now, while today is going to be a wrap-up, we did want to close things out with one last great piece of information that we have to share with you all. It takes us all the way back to step number 1 and back to our matrix strategies. So today I want to show you how easy it is to discover matrix strategies and stay up to date with what strategies we are finding most effective and how you can trade those strategies yourself. So with that said, let's get into what we have for today's webinar. So quick disclaimer, when we're talking about strategies, please remember these are based on historical results. We do our due diligence to do complete and thorough analysis of data to be able to create these strategies, but these strategies are math. They're not a crystal ball and they're not fortune telling. Past results can never guarantee future performance, so please always do your own research, trust but verify, run the backtests yourself, make sure that everything is as it should be before making any investment decisions. So, today's topic is very, very straightforward. This is the final part of Step into Sectors, and today we are covering the strategies list. We're going to take a look at what this strategy panel has to offer us, what information it gives, and a little bit more on how we can use this strategy panel to find strategies that we might be interested in. And then finally, to wrap up the series, we're going to take a look at all of the different lessons that we've had and what we covered throughout this series. Let's get started though with the new information for today, the Strategies tab. Strategies tab, Strategies panel, Strategies browser, whatever you want to call it, it is the newest addition to the Sectors Made Simple dashboard. On this tab, you can find a variety of the back-tested strategies that we've created here at Sectors Made Simple. These strategies will use the matrix, that relative strength comparison of different sectors, to find and trade a strategy over set periods of time. Now, the beauty of this is that these strategies are simple. We've talked before about how many of these different tools you can save time finding the information you want, but sometimes, whether you don't have the time for that, or you're just getting started and want an easier way to begin, the matrix strategies are here. These strategies, at most, trade once per week, take 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes a week to use, and have had historical results comparable or better than the S&P 500. Now, unfortunately, all strategies are not made alike, and some will perform better or worse than others during certain periods. And that is why we offer this strategy panel. We don't just say, here's the one strategy, take it or leave it. So for each strategy on this panel, you'll find a range of information to help you understand this strategy better and figure out if this strategy is one that you're interested in using yourself. So, let's take a look at what this strategy panel has to offer us. So we're going to go through the different pieces of information on this panel before we go and take a look at it ourselves. So, the first thing it offers us is rebalance period. How often does the strategy invest? Right now, all of the strategies that we offer are weekly strategies, meaning that the strategies trade the same day of the week, every single week. Trade using. This one is a little strange until you start to think about it in connection with trades on. When we are trading a matrix strategy, we are buying and rotating through sector ETFs. That means that we are looking at data and making a decision on what to buy during the trading day. our matrix and our backtesting data uses what information you would have if you were really trading that day. So for example, if today the market was still open, and you opened up, by the way, today is December 1st, 2023, if you opened up the matrix during the trading day, while it is Friday, December 1st, the matrix that you would see is for the previous day. You would see Thursday, November 30th. So, to make sure that everyone is familiar with and understands when we're trading, but also what matrix we're using to trade, we offer both pieces of information here. When it trades, and what matrix it uses when it trades. Then, the last piece of basic information that we get is how many sectors does it buy. Some strategies will trade one sector per week. That's it. Others might try and reduce risk and volatility by trading 2 or maybe even 3 sectors a week. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to always trade 3 sectors per week. It just means it will trade up to 3 sectors per week if 3 sectors match what we want them to be. So if we're looking for buying the top sector that has an X count momentum of 2 or more, for example, we would only buy the top sector. If it was buy 3 sectors that have X count momentums of 2 or more, well, then you'd buy 1, 2, and 3. But if only one sector had an X count momentum of 2 or more, then we would stop early. We would only take up to 3 sectors, and if only one sector matches what we're looking for, we would only invest in one sector. This allows us to still trade using the same rules, but we're not compromising if there's more sectors that are of interest to us. So, for this, we get to know how many sectors a week does the strategy buy. Then, below this basic strategy information, we find some extremely useful tools for understanding and comparing strategies. So, under strategy performance, we get the return. So, how much profit or loss has the strategy had? We get the return of the benchmark, the S&P 500 ETF SPY, over that same period of time. So now we can compare the results of the strategy itself and what the market had done over the same period. Remember, these strategies are not supposed to be complex. They're supposed to be simple to use, but we still want them to be profitable. And furthermore, we don't just want them to be profitable, we want them to be better than putting your money into SPY, forgetting what year it is, locking it in the freezer, and then checking on it a few months later. So, we want to compare our returns for the strategy to the returns of SPY. Then we have win rate. How many weeks did the strategy trade, and what percent of those weeks was it profitable? So any week that it made profit is a win, any weeks that it didn't make profit is a loss. Then we have average win and average loss. These tell us on weeks that it won, how much did it win? On weeks that it lost, how much did it lose? And the goal here is for us to know how good are the weeks that it did well, how bad are the weeks that it did poorly. Our goal with win rate and average win loss is that we have a strategy that wins more often than it loses, and a strategy that wins more than it loses. So it makes more money when it wins than it loses when it doesn't win. Then, the last two are cash rate, which is of all of the weeks that it traded, how many of those weeks did it not find a winning sector and it just held cash? when we're looking at strategies, it is possible that no strategy has what we want it to. And in that case, instead of just guessing at what we want to invest in, these strategies choose to invest in nothing and hold cash until the following week. When it does that, how often does it do that? So, 5% of weeks means 1 in every 20 weeks, the strategy held cash. Second part is a little similar. Average cash return. This one can be a little tricky to understand, but once you understand it, it is an incredibly useful metric to have. Think about when it holds cash. You could hold cash, or you can invest in SPY. There's always that option. So the question is, if you're holding cash, it's because the strategy isn't sure what to invest in, and it's playing it safe. But is playing it safe correct? Would we have made money if instead of holding cash, we just invested in SPY? Well, this metric tells us that. On the weeks that it holds cash, what did SPY do? So, if the average cash return is positive, that means that on the weeks we were holding cash, we saved that amount of money because the market went down. So, when we're looking at average cash return, positive numbers means that on average, SPY went down when we held cash, and the strategy saved us money. If the average cash return is negative, that means that SPY did better than holding cash did, so it profited, and as a result, we lost money. In reality, we didn't lose any money or we didn't gain any money. It's simply a way for us to know when the strategy is holding cash, is it correct? Is it making the right decisions? So, let's check out the last 3 buttons on this strategy tab before we go and take a look at it ourselves. So, on the strategies tab, we have 3 big buttons to push. View backtest will take the backtest that you have chosen and will put it into the backtesting engine for you to be able to review. We offer different time periods. So all of these metrics we just talked about, we offer for 3-month, 6-month, 12-month, and 24-month periods. So you can flick through and see the different returns over those different periods of time. View backtest will take whatever time period you have set. So if you're looking at the 12-month and click View Backtest, it will load up the 12-month backtest for that strategy. This makes it very, very simple. If you're watching this webinar in the future, to not just take my word for it. You don't need to learn how to load up a backtest. You just go and watch Step into Sectors number 2 so that you understand how to read a backtest. You run it yourself, and you check to make sure the numbers add up. So to speak. The second that we have is the view lesson. Many of the strategies that we talk about at Sectors Made Simple have been shared or taught in webinars. While Step into Sectors we are offering here for free on YouTube, every week we do a webinar for our Sectors Made Simple subscribers. These webinars have content spanning many different categories, from basic market education to economic and market analysis, all the way to, teaching matrix strategies and using our tools. So, it's very common that these strategies are discussed and introduced during webinars. So, we provide links to the webinars where we introduce these strategies so that instead of just reading text on a page, You get to have someone here to present that strategy to you, show an example of how to do that strategy, and make learning to use that strategy a little bit simpler. And then finally, show investment steps. If a talking head teaching you how to use a strategy isn't really your style, we have step-by-step directions as well. I promise you, it is easier than following a chocolate chip cookie recipe. These steps are extremely basic, about 5 to 6 steps max, and as soon as you've learned that, you're ready to follow those steps to start trading a matrix strategy yourself. So, I feel like now is a good time that we go over and we take a look at the strategies tab together. So I'm going to load up the matrix over here, and then we will take a look. So here we have the relative strength matrix, and over on the left side, we see strategies. We click here. What we see are the results of the different strategies that we currently have on this sheet. Right now, there's 3 strategies, but as I'll cover in a few minutes, this list is always growing. So while there's 3 strategies now, if you look at this in the coming weeks, there will be more strategies listed. Let's take one example here. The Thursday Momentum Strategy. That's the name of it. Rebalance period, weekly. So this strategy trades once every week. What does it use to trade? It trades using the Wednesday matrix. What that means is that it looks, and if this says Wednesday, that's the matrix that it's using. But when does it trade? It trades during the market hours on Thursday. So, if you wanted to do the strategy, by the way, this is the strategy we taught in episode number 1 of Step Into Sectors. If you wanted to do this strategy for yourself, what you would do is on Thursday, during market hours, you'd open up the matrix, go over here to momentum, and up here it would say Wednesday, blah, 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 blah. So that is the way that this strategy, or when this strategy would trade. During the day on Thursday, using Wednesday's matrix. How many sectors does it buy per week? It only buys 1. Now, how has the strategy done? If you're new to Sectors Made Simple, by the way, something we tend to do when we share strategies is we don't try and sugarcoat things. We will show the full story. So, with that said, how is the strategy done? Well, 3 months hasn't done so hot. It's down 6.83%, win rate of 45%, with an average win of 3.1 and an average loss of 3.6. How about 6 months? Alright, doing better. Return of 10% compared to the market's 8.65, positive win rate, and an average win bigger than our average loss. How about 12 months? Now we're getting somewhere. Return of 42.6% compared to SPY's 13.5%. Positive win rate, bigger average win than average loss, and hey, now we're holding cash. So 2% of the time, so 2 in every 100 weeks, the strategy held cash. And when it held cash, SPY went down by 2.73%. So, because you didn't invest in SPY that week, you saved 2.73% of your profits. Then finally, 24-month return, 76% gain compared to SPY's 2.6%. an even higher win rate of 58.25%, average win 2.9, average loss 2.6, held cash 3.88%, so in the past, which would be 104 weeks, it's held cash twice, with an average cash return of 2.49%, meaning on each of those weeks, it saved you about 2.5% gain. Now, seems cool, could be doing better right now, but the reality is, no strategy is going to be perfect 100% of the time, and we're not going to pretend that they are. We're not here to sugarcoat things, we're here to give you the real story. But the reality of it is, this strategy has a track record of success. Does it have ups and downs? Oh yeah. But that's the reality of any strategy. Let me show you the backtesting results first, and show you why it's important to run backtests, not just look at the end return. So we're going to click here and view backtest. When we do, we find that it immediately loads our start date, end date, top sectors. It puts in everything for us. All we have to do is click the big purple Run Backtest button. And pretty quickly, we will get the results of this backtest. While it's loading up, you need to wait. So here we see the backtesting results, and here we see why in the past 3 months or so, we're seeing returns that are not so great. The market didn't really dip down too much, and unfortunately, the strategy did. We did cover this in a members webinar, where in this webinar we discussed how sector rotation as a whole has fallen apart over the past few months, but over November finally came back together and is returning to what we expect it to be. These strategies are not mind readers. They don't change over time. They rely on sector rotation working. And unfortunately, sector rotation fell apart. But we are here to talk about it. We were here to create a more defensive strategy, which we did. And in the meantime, this strategy has begun to recover. Sector rotation has come back together and is now returning to a normal state. And we see that the strategy is beginning to trend upward again. But let's look at the overall returns. We see extremely positive returns. And again, with any backtest, you get the full history of what it held, when, and how much it made. So, these backtests are available. You can run them whenever you want. And again, we offer them all here for you to be able to load up and test yourself. So if you're watching this in the future, and you're interested in this strategy, load up the backtest. Look at the full results to see what might be going on. Now, view lesson. This one should be fairly straightforward. We click this, and it will load up the video over on our Learn site. So, with your free account, or rather these would be members webinars, so with your paid account, you would be able to watch these webinars and be able to see the steps needed to trade that strategy yourself. And then finally, if everything checks out, or if you just want to avoid the lesson, Show Investment Steps will give you the steps needed to trade the strategy. So, here we see sort the Wednesday matrix by total count. So let's go and do that. Sort the matrix by total count. Oops. Sort the matrix by total count. Got it. Step 2. Open 2-week momentum, sort by X count. Okay? 2-week momentum, sort by X count. All right. Use the order from the Wednesday matrix. So go down the sorted Wednesday matrix, buy the first sector ETF that has a 2-week X count momentum of 2 or more. So again, sort the matrix by total, 2-week momentum by X count. Start with the top sector, see if it has an X count momentum of 2 or more. It doesn't. Next. SPY doesn't. XLI doesn't. XLC doesn't. XLY doesn't. XLU does. So if this were Thursday and if this were Wednesday's matrix, it would be XLU. So again, these strategies are something that we offer here. Use our data, and you can see the investment steps for any of them. And as you notice, they're not crazy complex. They are simple to follow, easy to learn, and incredibly, incredibly powerful. Because again, you have all of the tools available to test these strategies and see their results yourself. In lesson number 3, we talked about how to tweak a matrix strategy if it's not performing up to your standards, or if you're interested in just checking out new strategies. This sheet is always available, and the list is always growing. We are constantly analyzing strategies, studying the market, and looking at ways and new methods of creating matrix strategies to help us invest simpler. The thing that I really want to drive home with you all is we don't just put these strategies here for no reason. We are always looking at new strategies, we're always exploring strategies, and we're always staying up to date on how strategies are performing because we use these strategies ourselves. These are methods of investing that we promote because we also use. So we're always looking for ways that, we can also make some more money. And that's the fun of it, is that there's always more to learn. The market is always evolving, and understanding what is changing in the market, why, and how we can use these strategies to invest simpler is why we're here. So, as we discover new trading strategies using the matrix, we'll cover them in webinars and then add them to the strategies panel. In fact, for Sectors Made Simple subscribers, not this upcoming Tuesday, but the 18th of December, we'll be having another webinar where we will be releasing 2 or more new strategies to this strategies panel. One is going to be a strategy that is supposed to be more defensive, a way of investing with the matrix for markets where sector rotation has begun to fall apart or is changing far too quickly for any sector rotation strategy to stay, any more sensitive sector rotation strategy to keep up with. And the other is going to be the simplest matrix strategy that we've ever had. The point of that strategy is meant to be one that allows us to start investing with the matrix in minutes. There's none of this using 2 tables. It's simple and easy to learn and foolproof. So, that is coming up in December for Sectors Made Simple subscribers. Alrighty. We have now made it to the end of Step into Sectors. So this has been an amazing 10 weeks of exploration into each step of your journey of learning what Sectors Made Simple has to offer. So I want to quickly go back to step 1 and quickly remind ourselves what we've learned every step of the way. So, in step 1, we learned a basic matrix trading strategy. In less than an hour, You went from knowing nothing about Sectors Made Simple to having a strategy that you can start using to invest right away. The strategy takes less than 10 minutes to use a week and has historically beaten the S&P 500, as we just saw. Step 2 is how to backtest a strategy. Here, we took our strategy and put it into the backtesting engine to be able to see the real results of the strategy. See what it traded, when it traded it, and how well the strategy did on its own and compared to the S&P 500. In week 3, or step 3, we talked about how to take a matrix strategy and how we can understand the market and adjust that strategy to improve it. How we can use backtesting to tweak these numbers and see how those numbers affect our results. Step 4, we went beyond just backtesting and talked about how to analyze a backtest. So we took our backtesting results from the dashboard, downloaded them, and imported them into Google Sheets, and we shared a spreadsheet that you can copy and paste in your results to get some basic statistics about the performance of that strategy. Step 5, we took a step sideways almost, and we started looking at some more of the tools that Sectors Made Simple offers, besides just strategies. We took a look at the matrix itself and how we can use the matrix to find leading sectors in the market. Then, in step 6, we took a look at the S&P 500 screener, taking the best ideas of relative strength that we've learned about and applied to the matrix for sector ETFs, and expanding that to the 500 companies of the S&P 500. We looked at how we can find leading companies in the S&P and how the S&P 500 sector averages can help us understand sector leadership on a company equal weighted level. Then in step 7, we talked about some basic strategies that we can use when we're talking about the S&P 500 screener. So while step 6 was focused a little bit more on how to read and understand the screener, step 7 was a more guided approach to how to use that data for investing. Then we came to step 8. This was a full tour of Sectors Made Simple's websites and resources. Some of these resources are available for free, others are available to Sectors Made Simple subscribers. And we gave you a full understanding of what everybody has access to and where they can find that information and those resources. Then finally, step 9, we talked a little bit about point and figure charting. Funny enough, we made it to step number 9 without even talking about a stock chart. Kind of funny, right? But step number 9, we talked about the basics of point and figure and how we can read and understand the point and figure setup screener to be able to add companies to our watch list before they go on buy signals, allowing us to jump in at the ground level for many of these companies right as they go on their signals. So, we've covered a lot in these 10 different steps. And hopefully, now you're asking, what's the next step? Where do you go from here? I got a silly answer for you. Just invest. At this point, as silly as it is, if you've made it this far in the series, you have a very strong understanding of the world of investing. You understand sector ETFs. You understand how sector ETFs relate to each other, and underneath those, you understand companies and how the same ideas that we've learned about for sector ETFs can be applied to companies. So you understand more about what it takes for a leading company to be a leader, and using the point and figure setup screener, how you can find buy signals within these different stock charts without even looking at a stock chart until the final moments of your decision-making process. Finally, if this still isn't enough for you, this is not the end of Sectors Made Simple's resources. What we've covered in these 10 episodes is only a taster. It's the surface of all of the different offerings and features that Sectors Made Simple has. But for the majority of the steps in this series, we've created many webinars or entire class courses in which we dive into these different topics, these different tools, new strategies, more detailed analysis, and ways of finding your next bull market. And our resources are always growing. Currently, we offer multiple webinars every single week. We have Tuesday members webinars in English with me. We have Wednesday and Thursday Spanish webinars with my mom, Julie Stav, and Meli, which cover trading options and day trading strategies using technical analysis. And we are always looking at what the next step for all of us should be. The journey of investing never has a destination. It is always developing. There's always a next step. And we are always hungry to discover what that next step is, to take that step, and to have you along with us for that journey. So, we hope that you can continue your financial journey with us, taking the next step into your financial independence and learning how to invest simpler in whatever way simpler means for you. So, I want to thank you all so much for joining us on this adventure. It's been a pleasure to get to share Step into Sectors with you all and show you all what Sectors Made Simple has to offer to make sectors, companies, point and figure, and strategies simpler. So, thank you all so much. Happy holidays. Take care. And see you all very, very soon.